So I just thought of a title for my movie, my re-evolution movie, called Bering Straight. Straight. Get it? It's playing words. Bearing straight into the future. And basically, what I'm going to do is, I've been kind of figuring out this movie for a while, and I guess I went to Ukraine, got away from it, and when you come back, you kind of like refresh your mind, you start over again, and I make everything better the more I do it. It just gets better and better the more I work on it. But there's going to be a time where I gotta stop procrastinating and just do it. See, the thing is, I don't want to. I want to do all this myself. So that's why I'm going to animate it. I want to animate it. This is going to be animation, so I can do everything myself. I work better when I do everything myself. But anyway, so it's going to be called Bering Straight, and it's going to be about. There's going to be three different parts. There's going to be the past part, the present part, the future part. What I'm going to do is the past part will be way back in the day. I haven't really thought what time to put it in. Probably the Spartan times, where the first series is going to be back. It's going to take place in the Spartan days, where there's a secret war between the Spartans and the Neanderthals that no one ever heard about. And they have it where the Neanderthals crushed them. It was like, because to me, I think Neanderthals were probably much the same way they ran. I think they ran their civilization much the same way the Spartans did. I think back in the Neanderthal days, and I think somehow the Cro-Magnon men just. I don't even think that First of all, who even knows that the Cro? I mean, no one even knows. I mean, the Neanderthals could have took themselves out. I mean, the Neanderthals could have been warring with each other. The Neanderthals could have taken themselves out. I mean, who's to say? No one was alive back then. No one was even close to alive back then. Nobody even has ancestors that were alive back then, 25,000, 100,000 years ago. So who do these architects think they are? They don't know what happened, really. They're never going to know what's happened. No one is. You can only speculate. So, the way I'm looking at it is, I think the Neanderthals took themselves out. I don't think there was anything big or strong enough to take them out, or smart enough. The Cro-Mags weren't smart, as far as I'm concerned. They weren't strong, smart. They weren't even smart enough to take out the Neanderthals. Because you know what? And this is what this is another thing the architects. I mean the archaeologists. Some things I agree on. Like they do say that Neanderthals taught the Cro-Magnon men at first how to survive. And that was one thing that I agree with. They said the Neanderthals taught the Cro-Magnons. The Neanderthals taught the Cro-Magnons how to survive in nature. So to do that, they had to have been smarter. They had to have been smarter than the Cro-Magnon men. If you're teaching someone else, you're smarter than they are. So that kind of tells you right there. See, that these archaeologists, they contradict themselves like a lot of times. That's why they don't know what they're talking about. Like I said, you just gotta go by the time and what you needed to be to survive that time. I guarantee you, to survive the Neanderthal time, you had to have been bigger, you had to have been stronger, and you had to have been naturally wiser, like to be a better hunter. And to be a hunter, you had to be a wiser hunter. You know, back then, to take out bigger prey. You know, that like there was more of them, which isn't a good thing. Back then, like now we have more humans than bears. Back then, I guarantee you, they had more bears than humans roaming the earth, and woolly mammoths, and probably had mammoth wolves back then. They probably had mammoth boars back then. They probably had mammoth, you know, deer back then. They probably had mammoth moose back then. You know, so the humans had to been more mammoth to keep up. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that's what I think, and that's what I'll make this base this movie on. You know, and so I'm gonna make it where my tribe's gonna be all different size of people like now, but they're gonna be a little. I'm gonna make it where an average, there's gonna be some 9 foot tall Neanderthals because I think there probably was. I think it's the opposite of what we're hearing. The real reality, I think Neanderthals were exact opposite of what we've been told. They're opposite in stature, everything, and that's what this is going to be about. It's going to be Bering Straight. I'm gonna have it where this tribe is. I'm gonna call it the Scriptwoods tribe because it's named after me. You know, it's part of my last name. I'm gonna call it the Scriptwoods tribe out of Siberia. So that's why I'm calling it Bering Straight because it'll make it where that's how like they're. I'm gonna have it like the second. I'm gonna do it where the story ages to the modern times, and I'm gonna say this is what the Indians came from too. I'm gonna say where like the Indians came from the Neanderthals. They kind of grew into the Indians, and then they kept modernizing, and that's what because I'm having where they were from. They're a Siberian nomad. Neanderthal tribe that crossed the Bering Strait to get into around the world. Because the Bering Strait really links the world together, And during the Ice Age, we know they all walked across the Bering Strait. Basically, that's how they're saying the first humans got to America was walking the Bering Strait because it's only 50 miles. It was frozen. So all this stuff gels together in my story. Neanderthals, secrets of Neanderthals. They, and I think they have totally ass backwards when it comes to describing what they really were. Like they're saying like they're finding all these like people like they talk about the Neanderthal skulls, how they're like all like primitive looking. Well, maybe they were deformed Neanderthals like we have deformed people in our day. You know what I'm saying? We have people nowadays that have they got deformities in their skulls. So maybe the Neanderthal days they had people like that too back then who had they were born. Well, we get people nowadays born with all kinds of deformities. Maybe they had the same thing back then. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they had people who had deformities. They weren't they looked like but they we got people in Mexico. You see those people that are born with all hair. They're all like hair like a freaking Bigfoot. You see that exists today. Probably existed back then. Okay, they were just like us Neanderthals. They were just like us. They had mutants back then, and they had regular looking Neanderthals. Like I said, they had runts. They had you know they had smaller, weaker, like we have now. They had bigger guys. They had smaller guys back then. They had good-looking women. They had everything we had, but I think they were superior than us, Neanderthals. Like I said, naturally superior than us. It's like the only reason, because nowadays we're using artificial means to get bigger and stronger now, but they didn't have it back then, or maybe they did. Who knows? Who knows? I don't think they did though. But it's just that Bering Strait because they're bearing straight towards the future. My whole series goes from the prehistoric past. It's going to go to the modern future. I'm going to call it Bering Strait, but Straight, Bering Strait. That's what I'm going to title this movie, animated movie. I think I got it all together. I've been working on this movie for years and years and years, and I keep thinking I got it. I think I got it. Crackheads, man. Oh, I got crackheads all around here. Wish you could shoot them like The Walking Dead. So freaking annoying. I mean, you can't get away from them anymore. You can't get away from these crackheads. They're everywhere. I was down in Florida, like where Donald Trump lives, like Palm Beach. They're everywhere down there too. They're like The Walking Dead. It's like this whole country, America, is being overrun by the Walking Dead, the crackheads, the meth heads, and it's serious. It's real. It's real. Anyway, I wish they'd make it where if he's on crack, you could shoot him right between the eyes like The Walking Dead and not get in trouble. It'd make this country just a better place to live. That's all it would do. Put him 6 feet under. God, because we just get more and more and more because it's like a disease, man. Crack, it's turning these people just. I want nothing to do with them, man. I ain't gonna help them. They want to kill themselves. I'm gonna encourage it. I'm gonna encourage these people to kill themselves. Let your enemy beat themselves. Let your enemy beat themselves. They want to smoke all the crack. Hell, supply them. Let them take themselves out. I don't care anymore. Okay, I never did. Screw that. It's worth the time. It's a waste of time and effort. I'd rather put my effort into things I want to accomplish from now on. About time. Anyway, so there's my truth. not do it.